The Philippine Government Employees Association has expressed full support for GSIS President and General Manager Wick Veloso. PGEA, the largest group of government workers, praised Veloso's leadership, citing fund growth of more than 300 billion pesos since 2022. The group also warned against what it called political noise and stressed that due process must be observed. This comes amid Veloso's suspension over the State Pension Fund's multi-billion peso share deal with Alternergy. The Ombudsman said this violated the GSIS investment policy guidelines and was done without the approval of the Board of Trustees. Veloso was also under fire for the investments of GSIS in online gambling firm DigiPlus. The government service insurance system is one of the Philippines' largest institutional investors, managing more than 1.8 trillion pesos in assets. The fund provides retirement, disability, and life insurance benefits to government workers, including school teachers, police, soldiers, and healthcare workers. Well, with us now for more is Wick Veloso, GSIS President and General Manager. Good to see you, Wick. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Kathy, and I'd like to greet your viewers.
So, how are you? I mean, it's been a month and a week since a preventive suspension came through, along with 6 other officials you work with.
It's more than a month, and it allowed me time to do a lot of things that I was unable to put a lot of attention to before.
But the attention that you still need to focus on is really to clear your name or names. What have you done towards that? Because I know that you've submitted a motion for recon a couple of days after the preventive suspension, but where are we now?
We've submitted our motion for reconsideration. We've submitted that within the regulated time. We haven't heard yet from the Office of the Ombudsman. There's a change of leadership again in the Office of the Ombudsman, so we'll probably have to wait again until the new officer in charge will be able to take a look at our response.
In fact, 48 hours ago, the president appointed the Visayas head, Dante Vargas, to the position. Might there be a change in the timelines then, or maybe the outcomes, as we see a change in the Office of the Ombudsman? So you'll wait for a response for your motion for recon.
I honestly have no idea. I leave it up to the Office of the Ombudsman to review our response and be able to decide accordingly.
Well, what were the key items in that motion for reconsideration that you're hoping would help lift the suspension you're in right now?
You know, Kathy, first, the issues with the Office of the Ombudsman. I cannot go on much details about what we have there in place. But one thing is certain. The GSIS, together with the rest of the team who reviewed this, followed all the guidelines. The suggestion that we have not reviewed the guidelines is totally off. You know, this is the business that we've been doing for the past close to 40 years of our career. To take a look at the parameters of what we can invest in, what the rules are, and we're always guided. So we are very, very positive with the view that we followed the instructions. And by the way, there's a note that we did not get the concurrence of the board. Please take note that the GSIS management is given by the board latitude to invest 1.5 billion pesos on 2 items. One, listed stocks in the Philippine Stock Exchange, or listed corporations in the Philippine Stock Exchange. Second, AAA rated bonds. So if you're within the listed 2 identified investment parameters, then you are within the guidance or the limit that has been set by the board.
So you're saying that you didn't need to seek approval for the investment in Alternergy shares because it was within the remit of a GSIS president and general manager?
That is the limit that we have. So that is why we believe accordingly.
What about for DigiPlus shares? Because when you take a look at the loss, presumably you've invested when it was reaching a peak of about 63.50. Right now that's fallen off because of the scrutiny that the government is giving the whole online gambling industry. Just looking back at it, what sort of investment decision-making came through in deciding to invest in an online gambling stock?
Kathy, let me first, give you an insight. The GSIS has not just invested on this company of late. We've been invested here since the stock price was, or since it was barely new. And everyone else who's following the stock market knows that the company, A, is listed, and B, it is regulated. And therefore, listed, regulated allows us to be able to invest in companies that fall within the parameters of A, safety, profitability, and of course, this being liquid. And the GSIS has been following that kind of guideline ever since. Now, this is, as I've shared, a listed and legal corporation in the Philippines. And our investment here has actually given us dividends. We've already made 139 million out of the investment here. Alam mo,
But it
pag
is a
nag-i-invest ka
paper
sa...
loss of about, I mean, it's lost 69% of its value from its 52-week high. So how much of a paper loss did that sustain?
You have to take a look first at how much we've gained versus how much is the revaluation. And what I would rather say and remain focused here is, this is a company that we've reviewed with research material, given that they have applied for a license to operate overseas. In September, they are going to get their license to operate in Brazil. They've applied for a license to operate in South Africa. So when you analyze companies that are based, or whose, this is a holding company whose focus is on technology, on leasing real estate, and be able to also do the recreational gaming business. It's a combination of different businesses and falls within what we say is an admissible investment for the GSIS. So we've been able to invest. And please take note, 72%, Kathy, of our investments are in risk-free investments. And we are also looking at equities as a way for us to be able to find businesses that we can invest in the long term.
But that's not to say that it's all risk-free. There's a percentage of that that still allows for risk-taking. So as president and general manager of GSIS, how much of a leeway are you given to actually take risks on government pension funds?
Well, Kathy, you have to remember, our business is to be able to manage the fund safely. And as I've shared, 72% of our investment is in risk-free investments. 19% is in equities, 5% is in private equities invested in infrastructure, and 4% is in cash and near cash items. The investment in equities allows us to be able to be invested in businesses that will give us the return over an extended period of time. You don't look at this as in, I've invested now, let's take a look at the year 1, year 2, year 3. You look at it over an extended period of time. What is the business model of this company? What is their market? And if in the event that you get to see that these are businesses that allows you to be able to be invested and grow with the company, then we would like to take a look at these opportunities.
Well, some of those I've spoken with before we're having a chat now say that the investments you've made in Digi Plus and in Alternergy are bordering on insider trading type of conflicts of interest, that you were too close to the kitchen when you made these investments, possibly clouding your judgment on due diligence.
My first
what
time
have you to say to
it's
that?
my first time to hear that. Alternergy is a company that was introduced to the GSIS by a financial company. They met with us. We've invested in Alternergy during its IPO in March of 2023. We were able to get into the IPO. After a few months, they were able to win 2 more companies or 2 more projects, Alabat and the Tanay businesses, and they required more funding. And again, they approached the GSIS. Okay, to be close to the kitchen, I think is not appropriate in terms of how you describe it. But our team always does research and always does due diligence to be able to understand the opportunities that we have.
And what do you say about the criticism that you acted like a venture capitalist rather than the president of a government pension fund that requires extra fiduciary safeguards?
Kathy, to say that we're venture capitalists, we'll be able to say that the GSIS is doing that for the longest time. GSIS has been investors in equities or preferred shares for the longest time. This is not something new. We have not introduced something different. We have not introduced something that changed the whole ballgame in the GSIS. As a matter of fact, what we've able to introduce is to have the ability to understand the markets, take a look at opportunities by using data, by using research, by using all the available information at hand to be able to achieve your results of getting the return that you have. You know, in business, especially in equities, it's always called a calculated risk. Now, if all of a sudden they say, we don't want any risk, invest everything in government securities, we can do that. But the question is, what kind of return are you going to get? The GSIS got a return of 6.75 net. That's roughly 8.8 gross. Your government 5-year security is 5.77. On a net basis, that's 4.8. It's almost double, okay? Not really double, but it's a significant increase of what we have, considering 72% of our investments are in risk-free. Now, I just find it too sad that this kind of issues, they try to leak out during the time that the OMB case came about. You see, I've worked in dealing rooms. I've managed one of the biggest dealing rooms in Asia Pacific when I was working in Hong Kong. I've managed dealing rooms in the Philippines, okay, in the various institutions that I've worked with. Investments are confidential in nature. Then why all of a sudden are people leaking this kind of transactions? And then try to make it appear that, you know, the GSIS investment is rogue, when in the first place, these are part and parcel of volatilities in the market.
Okay.
Even if they say this is only 0.13% of the investment in the GSIS. You know, as dealers, we always feel bad when we lose money. We always try to find the best investment that allows us to always get the return. And volatilities, of course, are part and parcel of the business, but discussions about this not being part of the business altogether just floated after we've invested. This was not part of the discussion.
Well, it's certainly not going to be the last time that I'm going to invite you over to explain further the motion for reconsideration once response comes through. Thank you so much. Wick Veloso of the GSIS.